Ladies and gentlemen, you read that correctly. The greatest chess player of all time, Magnus Carlsen, lost a chess game with an extra queen. Now, that's a fascinating headline. So we're going to get into that. This game was played in the Global Chess League. Global Chess League is an interesting new type of format. It's 2024. This is their second edition. And this one is in London. Last year, it was in Dubai. It's kind of a team format. The scoring's a bit odd, bit tough to explain. It's a team format. It's 6-on-6. That's the simplified version. And Magnus Carlsen was playing a close rival, Alireza Firouzja, somebody he has played many, many times. So I'm going to show you this game because it's a wild one. It's a fascinating one. Also, it's currently October 2024, and over the next couple of months, a bunch of things are going to happen in the chess world as it pertains to myself. So every single video, I'm going to remind you of what's upcoming because there is a lot of stuff that is upcoming. And this is what it is. On October 21st, I am dropping my first ever chessboard, a chess set, a foldable magnetic wooden chess set that is going to be quite nice. On October 22nd, I'm dropping something called the chess deck, which I'm going to show you. On October 28th to November 2nd, I'm flying to Stockholm, Sweden to play against Grandmaster Pia Kramling, the mother of Anna Kramling. On November 3rd, we're doing a fan event in Stockholm. Tickets will be coming soon. And on December 13th, perhaps the biggest one of all, Chessly 2.0. A lot of you have a course of mine. Well, Chessly 2.0 is taking Chessly to the next level. We've been building it for like the last 6 months. We're adding tons of courses, tons of learning tools. We're gamifying the site. I mean, I'm going to go on and on. You're going to hear more about that in November. First things first, this is the chessboard. There's only like 7 or 8 of these right now. A link will be coming soon. On October 14th, a link drops. 15,000 of these are going to be available in the United States on Walmart and Amazon. And it comes with a mini chess course for beginners. It comes with a cool QR code. It's themed. It has a GC there in the corner. And it's super cool. I'm really, really pumped for this one. And the chess deck is... It's a really nice gift present, I think, for somebody who's new to chess. It's got these beautiful flashcards which teach you openings, tactics. There's like puzzles on the front. You know, there's like puzzles on the front and then there's answers on the back. So if you want to get somebody a holiday present, I will put a link in the description to this. Stay tuned on this channel in October and November of this year because I will be dropping updates about tickets and all that good stuff. All right? So we've got the board coming, the chess deck coming. We've got the match against Pia Kramling in Stockholm. No fans for that one, no spectators, but on November 3rd, we're doing a major fan event in Stockholm, Sweden, and in December, Chessly 2.0 is dropping. Okay, I'm going to be updating about you about this, so you don't miss any dates, don't miss any tickets. Here we go, all right? Oh, there's something in my beard. Oh, God, that's embarrassing. That was a fuzz. Okay, tremendous. Here we go. Magnus losing up a queen in the Global Chess League to Alireza Firouzja. The game opens with pawn to d4. Now, they've played many, many games against each other recently. Speed Chess Championship, Julius Baer Generations Cup. Alireza plays d5. It used to be very popular for many, many years to play knight f6, e6, but nowadays, people are not afraid of playing the Queen's Gambit declined. It kind of lost popularity because after knight c3 and knight f6, White was playing the exchange variation, and engines were just kind of saying, like, White is always going to be slightly more comfortable here. Yeah, modern day analysis has shown that Black is totally fine and actually very, very happy. So Alireza not fearing knight to c3. Magnus plays knight f3, knight f6, and now has to make a decision. Is he playing the Catalan or is he playing knight c3? Nothing else is really good. He does sometimes dabble in the early exchange Queen's Gambit decline, but in general, well, here he combines two systems. Plays knight c3, and Alireza now has also many choices. So here Black can play the Queen's Gambit declined. Black can play the Rogozin, which is a very interesting opening. Black can play the Janowski, a6, which is what Magnus plays. Black can play dc4, which is the Vienna, and then after e4, play either bishop b4 or b5. Black can also play c5, which is the semi-Tarish, knight bd7, and h6, which are sidelines of the Queen's Gambit declined. At this point, I'm just showing off my opening knowledge to you. That's like 8 different possibilities. And this is why chess is great at your level, because you don't have to know any of this garbage. You don't have to know any of this, all right? Alireza plays c6, which is a move I didn't even cover. This is the semi-Slav defense. It's a very interesting opening. What black is going to do is black is going to take on c4 when the bishop moves. So the bishop moves and then has to take on c4 again. Then black is going to lash out with b5. Also, black can play queen a5, bishop b4, knight bd7. A lot of interesting ideas. Magnus now plays g3. So he combines the Queen's Gambit with the Catalan. And he plays pawn g3. And really the only testing line here for black, like the most testing line, is to say, well, I'm going to take on c4. Because I've already set myself up in a way where I'm going to defend the pawn really quickly. So if you play bishop g2, I'm going to play b5. You're not going to win the pawn back. b5, now lines go knight e5. Black can play queen b6. White can play like b3 here. Actually, I think technically here the more accurate move is a4. And if b4, you have a5. And also knight b1. And c4 is hanging. So super sharp stuff. Super sharp. And Alireza does not play b5. He says, you know what? I'm not interested in defending the pawn. Knight bd7 is on the board. Magnus here anticipating b5 and also anticipating the knight coming to b6. Plays this move a4. Point is to meet knight b6 with a5 and a6. And this could get really bad because black, even though up 2 pawns, has very, very weak pawns on the queen side. So we have bishop e7 and both sides castle. Okay. Magnus is a pawn down, but it's a pawn where black removed the pawn from the center of the board, and white can win this pawn back with, relative ease. You guys ever, slept weird and you can't turn your... I mean, obviously, we're all human beings. So I slept weird last night, and now I can't turn to the left. It's really annoying. So, if somebody broke in, I'm cooked, man. I gotta go like this. Maybe I'll hit them over the head with the GothamChess chessboard available, in stores in about 10 days. In 10 days. Can't get it now. It's dropping, like I said. It's going to drop in stores in 10 days. And then that week, October 21st, that's when you guys are going to you guys are going to be able to get it. Maybe I'll hit him with it. Anyway, a5. a5 stops knight b6, and it also kind of stops b5. By kind of, I mean you would take en passant. Alireza plays knight d5. Now, Magnus here plays the top line of the computer, and this really shows you how influenced by engines humans are. And this is also kind of why humans will forever in the world of chess live in harmony with AI, whereas AI poses an existential threat to many industries and professionals all over the world. I'm looking at you, consulting. I'm looking at you guys. All right, well, your little business trips and all your little financial reports. So we live in harmony because here Magnus spends 50 seconds and plays h4. This move doesn't even look like it makes any sense. Well, when black went to d5, moved the knight away from the defense of the king, which means the pawn will actually be pretty good on h5 and maybe even h6. Like, if black does nothing, there's actually a really good argument to be made that getting this pawn to h6, look at the advantage, it's ballooned. Right? Because what you're doing is you're questioning the integrity of the black pawn structure. This is already much better for white. Engines love having these pawns on the outskirts of the board. Also, black responding with h5 would be a gross overreaction because you would put something on the g5 square like a knight or a bishop. And if black plays h6, it's not a terrible overreaction, but actually h4 is better than h6. So, fascinating. Alireza goes bishop b4. And now Magnus plays bishop g5. The pawn didn't help with that. The knight was already defending. The best move here for black is to play f6, not a particularly positional or natural move. So Alireza just moves the knight from the 7th rank to the f6 square. Magnus plays queen c2, and this is exactly how you handle these positions where black has taken a pawn on c4 and doesn't really have any central pawn presence. It is a lot better, in my opinion, to have central pawn presence. It's much more natural to play with pawns in the center of the board. Some of you who are keenly watching this might realize there is a pawn hanging on a5. You're 100% right. Alireza is now up 2 pawns. Magnus, over the last several years and in the age of computers and in the age of fast chess, like rapid chess, has gotten a lot better at sacrificing pawns. And in particular, in this type of structure, in like the Catalan structure. I think he said it himself. He never really liked giving up material and he never really liked being down pawns. Well, he's 2 pawns down right now. Now, the point is he's getting e4, so he's getting compensation if the knight leaves the center. Well, if it goes to c7 or b6, you play rook a5 because the queen doesn't guard. Now, knight b4 looks really good, but after a simple queen d2, black is already on the ropes. The queen has to guard the bishop and the knight, and you're threatening e5. So, for example, h6 here, you can play bishop f6. If queen f6, rook a5. If g f6, queen h6, black can probably resign. So not an easy position at all. One of the only moves now is to give away this piece. bc3 and now knight e7. Magnus is still down 2 pawns, but he is much better. Why is he much better? He puts his knight in the middle. He's about to win a pawn back. And what is black's next move? How does black actually play this position? This is a real Magnesian style right here. So what does black play? Alireza goes b5. I mean, duh, right? Protecting himself. Here, white has knight c6, and e5, hitting the knight, hitting the bishop, hitting the knight with the bishop, and hitting the knight over here. But Magnus plays this absurd queen c1. I mean, I can't even... This must be some form of deep-rooted pattern recognition, because I have no idea what queen c1 does. I mean, I can explain it to you, obviously. The queen is going to f4 to apply more pressure. But, like, I don't know why he wouldn't play... Like, to me, you know, you want to make an improving move, you lazily move your rook over. But no. Timing matters. You have to play queen here. Also, bishop f6 looks nice, but then obviously you don't have enough material. So maybe that's kind of the point. He's putting his queen here to play bishop f6, knight g4, and you know, get the queen over there. So queen c1, fascinating move. Alireza here reacts to this incoming attack and plays king h8, and he's actually losing now. He's actually just straight up much worse, but it's not really obvious why. He's losing if Magnus plays h5, which is kind of a ghost move. And the point of h5 is that, I mean, it looks like it just straight up loses a pawn, but now you have knight takes c6, which is winning, so h5 you cannot play. I mean, sorry, knight h5 you cannot play. Not really clear what you're going to do here, but yeah. Black can play knight g8 and try to hold. White still goes h6. And so then here white has to play like bishop h6, knight h6, queen h6. Everything is weak. Everything is loose. White also has a very funny attacking idea here, which is like f4, king f2, rook h1, which is kind of nasty. This is really gross. I mean, white's just totally dominating. But rather than moving the h-pawn, Magnus just plays queen f4, knight g8, knight takes c6. Now, at this point, I would like to, if you're still here, 12 minutes is a lot. Maybe you clicked somewhere else. I want you to know something. For whatever reason, the Global Chess League made their time control in these rapid games 20-minute with no increment. There is no bonus time. Now, for new chess fans, that might be weird because on chess.com, you play 10-minute with no bonus time. So it might be very normal for you, right? Like, why is that a big deal? At top-level events, especially not online ones, there's bonus time every move, even if it's 2 seconds. And it's to prevent people at the very end from aggressively slapping the clock because there's no pre-moves in chess live. You know, you can't pre-move. And from knocking over all the pieces and you know, all that good stuff. So... We're now entering the territory where that has to come to mind. Knight c6, Magnus has taken back one of his pawns, plays queen d6. But as the rivalry goes between Alireza and Magnus, Alireza does not go down when Magnus gets going. When, you know, in every game that he plays, Magnus is going to get going. He's going to build initiative. He's going to build momentum. He's going to attack, improve his position, etc. And he's doing that. E5. He's up nearly 3 minutes. Good defense of the position. Good pressure. Alireza now has to give up the bishops completely. So now it's 2 bishops versus 2 knights. Plays the best move here, though. Rook d8. Best move. And forces Magnus to trade the queens. Now the knight is hanging, and the rook is here. The only way to defend the rook is to play rook c8. Okay. I thought rook c8 to attack the bishop, but h6. Now knight d5, but... Again, it still should be Alireza who is crashing through here. Now, Alireza is down 3 minutes. I remind you once again, it's important, there is no bonus time. The guy is down 3 minutes. It's 6-3. He's got no out. Like, he has to make moves. So now Magnus plays bishop takes b5. Alireza plays knight takes c3. Magnus plays bishop takes c4. So we go from Magnus 2 pawns down to being equal in the pawns, having the bishop pair, having a passed c-pawn, and having a weak pawn on a7, and a 3-minute time advantage. Everything is pointing to the fact that Magnus should be winning this game, and that's what normally should happen. Rook d4. First of all, it should happen, period. Alireza has to make moves instantly. He accidentally allows a losing position, and the pawn is going, and Magnus is in cruise control. Now, where does the title of this video come in? So far, it's just been a typical, beautiful Magnus positional game. Pawn is 2 squares away from queening. Red carpet is there. This bishop is going to come out, go to d6. I mean, you cannot ask for a better position. How on earth is Alireza going to defend? +3, down 3 minutes against Magnus. This is why we love Alireza, because of his tenacious fighting spirit. He plays rook e8. Magnus finally brings this rook to the party. I mean, this is just about the worst type of position you can have against him. This knight comes back to blockade. The bishop is hanging, so it goes away. Now you are threatening bishop e7 and rook a7, or bishop c5 and rook a7. Knight d5. You ask me what I do here? I play bishop c5, rook d2, rook takes a7. This is nuts. This is one of the best positions Magnus has had this year. He is now up a pawn. It is a 3-pawn turnaround. That is the venomous nature of the opening that he played, which is this kind of Catalan where you give this up and you just slowly improve, get your pawns back, and by the time you get your pawns back, you have what they call, you know, when you're down pawns, you have compensation. You're compensating for the lack of pawns. Here you have the pawns and the compensation. Alireza, though, still has to make moves. He can't just resign. Rook c8. Bishop d6. Now Alireza is playing f5. I mean, he's got to do something. He can't just fall over, right? 2.5 minutes. Magnus takes en passant. G takes f6. Now Magnus spends a long time. He burns a minute. That's about 25 seconds of clock time here. And it was obvious that he was calculating knight to b5. Now, what Magnus probably should have played here in like half a second is rook b7. That stops the knight from going to b5 permanently. This is hanging, but you can't move the knight because the bishop is hanging. So, sorry, the knight is hanging. Rook b7 is one of those moves that's a Magnus move. He just plays rook b7. He lets you self-destruct. But he goes bishop h3. And the reason he goes bishop h3 is because he obviously calculated knight b5, which is a fork. And it let Alireza create a little bit of chaos. Rook d7 is the best move. That is well spotted. Now Alireza has to find knight b6 in 4 seconds, which he does. Now we have bishop f4. Oh my god. The rook is hanging. The pawn is going to take here, and the bishop can take there. So the bishop defends the rook through the pawn. Oh my god, what a move. We have rook d7, c d7. Magnus saw all of this and correctly evaluates this position as winning, but he's only at 50 seconds on the clock. Alireza's younger, all right? He's got more vitality, all right? He's moving faster. Bishop c4, knight d6. Now, when you simplify this position down, it is the fact that white is a pawn up and has a bishop. So it would probably be king and pawn versus king and everything traded. That's a draw sometimes and a win other times. It could also be king, pawn, and bishop versus king and knight, which is also a draw a lot because the knight will sacrifice for the pawn. But there are moments you can actually like not allow the pawn to touch, you know, to get close. So bishop f1. Magnus has 2.5 minutes to win this endgame. All Alireza has to do is horsey dance. That's it. Which is something that, you know, you can do in your games. You just dance the horses around. He just has to bring the king. Now, he is completely lost, according to all engines. Bishop g2. Bishop c1, but he's going to keep making moves. He has a minute 25. I mean, this is ridiculous. He's down a minute. He's down a full minute. He's only got 1 remaining. Knight e5, king g2. Now, Magnus just has to slowly figure out how to come forward. There it is. Now, he pushes the knight back. King f3. Knight c5. Alireza is literally, like, his game plan right now is move knights around. G4, taking squares away. Knight e6. Bishop a3 attacks the knight. The knight has to go back. Now, black is in a cocoon. He's just sitting there waiting for the arrival of his opponent. Alireza has 30 seconds on the clock. I'm not sure you can physically make the moves. Now, here, you ask me h5, like, the move you play here automatically, by the way, you may be wondering, is this a free pawn? It is. The reason you may not want to take this is you double your pawns, and you kind of lose a little bit of that mobility. But listen, you asked me, I mean, you could g5 here. This is game over, because probably black has to go here, and you will trap this knight somehow. Like bishop e7, for example. But okay, it's still, you know, maybe you don't want to do that just yet, and Magnus plays the best move. Alireza goes back. Bro got 29 seconds on the clock. It's over. G takes h5. By the way, g5 there probably also was very good because now it's not 2 pieces giving up. Like g5 here, maybe even take on f7, but HG, and 2 connected pass pawns, bishops. This has to be game over. Has to be. King G6, bishop E7, bishop D3, discover check, etc. Takes. Okay, Alireza is now down 2 pawns. Magnus, knight F5, bishop D3. Alireza doing his best. 23 seconds on the clock. Magnus has double his time. King E6. Alireza, knight G2, the best move. Giving up a pawn with check. But suddenly, whoa, suddenly, he's given up the knight on F7. He's completely giving this up. And I think his idea is knight F4, knight H5, winning both pawns. And at that point, I don't know. We're going to get into a scramble. Magnus tries to keep this pawn on the board, but that's actually a mistake. Because after knight F4, king F7, he loses the bishop. Oh my God. He went for the exact same thing. He was worried about losing both pawns. And instead of losing both pawns, he loses the full bishop. Now it's a draw. It's a draw with 22 seconds on the clock versus 15. Anything can happen here. By anything, I mean, obviously, you know, draw. But king F7 was the moment there. He had to take and then try to, you know, yes, this is maybe a draw, this position, you know, like, but maybe black is going to find a way to lose the knight somehow in all the crossfire. It's possible. You get yourself into what's called a zugzwang, you know, you got no more moves, but he didn't want to do this. So instead, we get here, right? And this might have been his winning attempt. King H5. Now, this is a draw. The way you draw this with black is you sacrifice the knight for the pawn. That is the only way to make a draw. Now it's 19 to 14. F6, knight F4. Magnus not allowing the king to get closer. Or the knight. Pawn's going to F7. There it is. Now, this is stuck. The knight is stuck. The knight can't move. If the knight moves, you're going to queen. And the king can't actually get any closer either. The king is totally shielded off. King G5, King D7, King F5, Bishop G7. Black is out of moves. Remember, black can't touch the knight. The only thing that black can do is move the king. King G5, King E6. But black can move the knight to give some checks. So he goes here, here, back. King D7. Now you can't move the knight again. King F5. We've repeated. King D6. King E6. And Alireza Firouzja is losing the game now. He had to play knight F4, but he had no time. But look at the time. You back up. Magnus, this whole game, has had a dominant lead on the clock. When all of a sudden, it's 6 to 4. And even though Magnus gets the zugzwang and is promoting his queen, knight F4. Now at this point, the boys are playing like this. Like, this is the problem with no increment. Knight F4. F8 queen. It took, this was absolutely genius from Alireza. In this, think about this. Alireza knew that he can make a draw, but he decided to allow this because the queen would cost Magnus time. On chess.com, you have auto queen. It's this. F8 queen, getting the queen takes time. Magnus is down to 1 second. And Alireza forks his king and queen, and in this position plays the most gangster move of the game. He goes here. And Magnus Carlsen loses the game on time. Now, what's funny is, if Alireza took the queen, which is obviously the best move, this is a draw, because this is what's called insufficient checkmating material. The game ends automatically. You don't have a chance to continue the game. However, by going knight h4, he preserved a piece on the board. Now, this is where it gets really weird. The rules of chess are very weird. I think on chess.com, this is a draw, because chess.com follows the rulebook of the United States Chess Federation. I could be completely incorrect. Because the Global Chess League is international, they follow the rulebook of the international governing body of the game, which says if a checkmate is theoretically possible, then it is a win for black. Magnus got up at this point and put the kings on these two squares, because he thought it was a draw. Alireza was the one that said, no, I win. And Magnus looked at the board like... So the way, in theory, you would checkmate is by putting the king in the corner. Like, if the white king was there, like look, this is what we'll do it like this. I'll show, oh, I can't even... the position is so powerful that I can't even, like, walk across the board. Look, I mean, this is utter nonsense, but this is what I'm talking about. Like, let's say queen is here, or, you know, I spent a move. Let's say, basically, I want the knight on c7, and I want the bishop here, and I want the king here. So, here, 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 like this. Because this position is possible, Ali Reza wins this game. Fascinating. Amazing stuff. Some of you may remember that a few years ago in the World Blitz Championship, basically this same thing happened, but in reverse. Ali Reza was the one that beat, Magnus was the one that beat Ali Reza on time, in a position where anybody with a functioning brain would not lose, but the rulebook says that you lose. So, yeah, Magnus loses a game up a queen. Not a headline that you get every single day. And this was genius. This was completely genius. To allow him to queen and can we just put up, like, can we give some credit to the man? 6-3 with a dead loss position against Magnus Carlsen. I really feel like right now there is one man alive who can beat Magnus in a position like this. It's got to be Ali Reza. Like, some of the young Indian players as well, because they're all very tenacious. But Ali Reza, it's just, he loves to fight, man. He just loves it. So, there you go. I mean, some of you might have thought he, you know, was up a queen the whole game and lost. Yeah, come on. He's not you. Relax. All right? I will remind you once again, in the beginning and the end of every video, mark your calendars, my friends. It's going to be a wild 3 months to end the year. And it's going to be a wild 2025 in chess as well, as we've got the Netflix Untold of Magnus Carlsen, Hans Niemann coming out. That was announced, so next year is going to be crazy. Those of you that are looking to improve at chess and are not new to chess, don't know people who are new to chess, you know, a chessboard may not interest you, the chess deck may not interest you, but Chessly 2.0, I have so much stuff coming for Chessly. So much. So, very excited. Mark your calendars. Do check it out. And I will be telling you about this the rest of the year, rather than having, you know, some big sponsors. We'll be sponsoring myself. That's all. Get out of here.